Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. When I look back at the stories I covered for the Spirit of the Bluegrass series last year, it's difficult to pick favorites or to narrow them down to the best of the year. I like all of the places I've been and all of the people I've talked to. But for the next half hour, we'll sample a few of them as a reminder that we live in a special place and that there's room in the news for stories that are just fun to tell. Up first, a man whose love for music and bourbon mixes quite well. Mike Mankel has been playing music for more than 50 years. He hopes it's as smooth as his favorite Kentucky product.
I moved here 30 years ago and became a really big fan of bourbon and bourbon culture.
He sees gracefulness in the guitar and beauty in barrels, so why not combine the two?
This is a charcoal from the inside, the outside of the barrel. You know, just like we talked about, I want it to look like it was in the rickhouse the whole time the barrels were aging.
Mike can take barrel heads and a couple of staves.
I've got enough to build for 10 more years.
And turn them into playable works of art.
Yeah. Basically, it's like a child's puzzle. You know, you just kind of pick what fits, what doesn't.
He's turned out nearly 50 guitars at his Bourbon Barrel Guitar Company in Lexington, which is a one-man operation. There's
the old saying, if it were easy, a ton of people would be doing it.
It takes about 4 months to make one, and prices start at about $7,500.
It's very rewarding, but oh my gosh, it takes a lot of effort.
The instruments are never far from their roots. Just like the original barrels, each guitar holds some of the product.
So it goes in, you switch it around, and now it's happy. And then sometimes I take another one.
It's a matter of taste.
Because I can.
And smell, sight, and sound. Many of these guitars have been purchased by people who don't play music. They display them as pieces of art, which is just fine with Mike.
I just feel positive pride. You know, that my hands, my work, my heart, and my instrument are appreciated.
The guitars are something to see, each with unique markings and perfect imperfections. But it's also fun to hear them. Barrels of fun. You can see more of Mike's work and what he has for sale online at bourbonbarrelguitar.com. If you listen to the radio much, you're aware that a lot of stations sound the same with disc jockeys and playlists that are shared coast to coast. So when you find one that's unique, it's worth a listen. And one Eastern Kentucky station has listeners from around the world who tune in to talk shop.
Hang tight, we'll be right back.
People who drive around Stanton every day around 10 a.m. are likely tuned to the same radio program.
Well, good morning, Eastern and Central Kentucky, and welcome to Tradio.
It's a show that's very much community-oriented, and you never know what you're going to hear.
Yes, I have a for sale this morning, a hearing aid.
For more than 40 years, WSKV-FM has been the home of Tradio, an on-air swap shop.
I've got a couple items for sale this morning.
It seems and feels so social. I mean, I feel like I'm hanging out and talking on the phone with my whole family.
Angela Oldfield is one of the hosts. She takes the calls.
Good morning, Tradio.
Reads the texts.
AC Kayak, and they'll trade or take offers.
Basically runs the store for 90 minutes.
I've got ungodly amount of junk I'm selling.
This station is known as Pickup Country, and you never know what you might be able to pick up.
I've got some old-time postcards I've had for a while I'd like to get rid of.
I have some Elvis DVD movies I'll sell for $4 a piece.
I have a friend that's got a brand new water heater for sale, still in the box.
This show streams online, and they find they have listeners all over the United States and in foreign countries.
Here in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, that's a regular.
Those aren't people who want to buy or sell anything. They're just people who like the down-home feel of old-time radio.
We've actually verified that service members are listening, and that's one thing that's always really neat because they're looking for a touch of home.
I'm sure I got something somebody needs.
We're usually serving about 100 to 120 people each day that we do Tradio.
And I got one of those chicken coops, you know, the little fancy guys.
The show has expanded to 6 days a week. That's 468 hours of wheeling and dealing per year.
I've got 3 sets of tires for sale.
They'll take $250 or entertain trades.
And the host knows some people would listen all day, every day if they kept the phone lines open.
If you want to get your ad on, you better make it quick.
Radio formats change all the time, but WSKV has no plans to discontinue its most popular show.
They would be out here at our front door, banging on it, bring Tradio back.
Tradio connects people who know each other by voice.
Is this Felix?
This is him in person.
And love the sound of a good bargain.
You guys be blessed. Have a great afternoon. Don't forget, I love y'all. And ain't nothing you can do about it.
The hosts know Tradio works because they get calls all the time from people who say thanks for helping me make some money. Often the listed items sell just minutes after they are mentioned on air. Stick around for a couple of blasts from the past. See how new owners are renovating Kentucky's historic Wigwam Village. And travel with us to the oldest country store in America, still owned by the same family, and find out why some people say they couldn't imagine a life without it.
Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. With over 2 million phone calls last year alone, more people in more cities across America want more Morgan & Morgan. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, you're also hiring a family business. And after 35 years, we now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Protecting America, fighting for you. Injured? Call Morgan & Morgan. For the people.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys. You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Kicks off on Fox.
Don't leave nothing on this field.
First, on Saturday, Christian McCaffrey and a red-hot Niners team are primed and ready for a run at the title. Now, they'll take on Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Then, on Sunday, Daniel Jones and the Giants take on Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Saturday and Sunday on Fox. All part of Super Wild Card Weekend.
Welcome back. When cars became affordable in the 1920s and 30s, Americans hit the road, making their way to beaches, mountain retreats, or natural attractions such as Mammoth Cave. That also prompted the rise of the roadside motel. Some of them became attractions themselves. That's the case for one tourist rest stop in Barron County, where guests can enjoy the retro spirit of the Bluegrass. Cave City's Wigwam Village is a blast from the past.
I mean, I'll never forget the first time I pulled up and saw it. I was like, oh my God.
And more than 8 decades after it was built, it's still a blast to see.
We watch the public drive by and you see those mouths open up and you see them say, this is amazing. It happens every day.
Keith Stone surprised Megan Smith with a getaway trip here during the Labor Day weekend of 2020.
When we arrived, it was my first time. My mind was blown. And Keith said to me, well, you know, it's for sale.
And that set the wheels in motion that led to the Louisville couple becoming the new owners of an iconic roadside motel that was built in 1937.
We've not come across blueprints. We know they're around.
But they do have the patent, which has been a help as they renovate each of the 15 concrete teepees, adding modern safety and energy-saving features while maintaining the original look and feel. Inside these rounded walls, you'll find either 1 or 2 beds, a small dresser, and yes, there is a bathroom and a shower. But the new owners say a lot of the experience of staying here has always happened outside the cone-shaped structures.
People would spend a lot of time down where we are right now. We call this the bowl, and they would play games, and they would picnic, and then they would make a bonfire, and then the weirdest thing would happen. People would talk to each other.
By 1949, there were 7 wigwam villages across the nation. The first one was just up the road in Horse Cave. This was number 2. Only 3 remain. This one, number 6 in Arizona, and number 7 in California. They were the brainchild of Frank Redford, who wanted his motels to stand out from all the others popping up in the middle of the 20th century.
These do not look like wigwams, they look like teepees. He did not like the sound of Teepee Village, so he renamed it.
Keith and Megan have to balance preservation with political correctness. They do not sell this as a Native American experience, even though the original owner did. They celebrate it as an architectural wonder and a piece of Americana from the early days of road travel.
So we think those things help to counterbalance the cultural appropriation and maybe swing the pendulum back toward Wigwam Village #2 is worth preserving and restoring.
Wigwam Village has been described a lot of ways over the decades. Tacky and wacky, fascinating and fun. It's good to know that this piece of the past has a future thanks to new owners who love everything about it.
So if you're wondering why someone would want to buy this place and restore it, my main answer would be, well, who wouldn't want to?
The outside of the structures can't be altered too much because the village is on the National Register of Historic Places, but the owners have plans to turn the largest teepee, which used to house the office and a restaurant, into a coffee shop. Now for another blast from the past, a general store on the Boyle-Casey County line. People have been buying necessities there for almost 200 years and are seldom in a hurry to leave. It's not where you'd expect to find a store, in a field way off the main road, all by itself, in a place some might call the middle of nowhere. But people do find it.
Hello. We've had people from every state in the Union and over 20 countries.
Penn's store near Gravel Switch has been around since at least 1845, and the same family has owned it since 1850.
I'm now the 6th generation to operate the store.
It has a little bit of everything, even penny candy, but it's not a place where customers grab and go. They sit a spell and often stay and play. The store is rustic for sure, and Dawn Osborne knows she'd be in trouble with the locals if she tried to modernize it.
The store really almost has a soul of its own. I want people to experience what someone 100 years ago experienced when they walked through that door.
A century ago, there were more buildings around Penn's store, including a chicken coop, because people would trade chickens for goods. But perhaps the most important building came in 1992 when they built an outhouse here, the first public restroom facilities ever. Penn's Privy was the subject of magazine articles around the world. That brought more tourists, and now the store stocks a lot of souvenir items. It's equal parts neighborhood market, gift shop, museum, and gathering place.
Just a wonderful place to come. They'll treat you so many ways, you gotta like one of them. I'd like to see it stay here another couple hundred years, you know.
It may not last that long, but Dawn's daughter Olivia plans to be the 7th generation Penn to keep the tradition alive, even though she's about to go to law school.
I do, again, have my own aspirations, but at the end of the day, I think Penn's store is something that's going to be kept in this family for a long, long time.
That's music to the ears of longtime patrons who can't imagine a future without this reminder of the past. These days, Penn's store only has regular hours on Saturday and Sunday afternoons, although Dawn says anytime you catch her there, the store is considered open. When we come back, we'll take you to another place with limited hours, a Kentucky post office that only gets busy right before Christmas. And we'll celebrate another holiday, President's Day, with a middle schooler who already has his eye on the White House.
A lot of firms out there are not allowed to do tax planning. Their mother company won't allow them to even engage or actually even talk about tax planning. The deeper we got into it, we're like, how can you not do tax planning when you're talking about investments? So we had to become a fiduciary firm to go out on our own. Once we became our own firm, we decided that tax planning was going to play a key instrument in the overall planning that Family Wealth Group does. This is one of the areas that makes us really different from a lot of your firms.
Are you ready for a fresh new bath or shower? Well, now is the best time with 50% off installation, free fixtures, and no interest and no payments for 1 year. Hi, I'm Christina, and it's time to flip your old worn out bath or shower with Jacuzzi Bath Remodel today. Everyone knows the Jacuzzi brand, but did you know they can install a gorgeous bath or shower that feels incredible in as little as 1 day? Now that's the total bathroom beauty that I love at a price you can afford. With one call to Jacuzzi Bath Remodel, you can effortlessly transform that old, ugly eyesore into the stunning bath or shower of your dreams that you'll love for years to come.
Call or go online to jacuzzibathremodel.com to get up to 50% off installation, and you may qualify for no interest and no payments for 12 months. Plus, we're including free fixtures. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-992-2465. Call now.
My team, they're the best around. We will find her. I promise.
Fox Monday. Alert is TV's most thrilling new drama.
I have a lead, and someone's scared her into not cooperating.
I need you to tell me what you know. We got a hit.
When it comes to finding him, there's no rules. This is life or death. Where is he?
All we care about is getting them back.
All new Alert Missing Persons Unit. This Monday at 9 on Fox.
You're watching the Spirit of the Bluegrass Best of 2022 special.
A few weeks from now, we will celebrate President's Day. For many people, it just means there will be no mail delivery and the banks will be closed. But for a Corbin boy, the holiday has a lot more meaning. He shares his presidential knowledge in the Spirit of the Bluegrass.
Yep, I was just checking out books and watching videos.
11-year-old Reed Elliott spends a lot of time doing research in his presidential museum and library. It's really his bedroom, but good luck finding the bed.
A painting of Ronald Reagan. Let's see. A book by Jimmy Carter.
Every nook and cranny of his room is taken up with presidential memorabilia, bobbleheads and blankets, plates and posters. This kid is a walking encyclopedia of White House wisdom.
William Howard Taft got stuck in the bathtub. John Quincy Adams swam naked in the Potomac River. Warren Harding had the longest feet in presidential history.
He became obsessed with presidents in 2018 when he watched news coverage of the death of George H.W. Bush.
Then I just kept watching and watching and watching.
Something clicked in him and he just became instantly obsessed.
His mom posted a picture of Reed saluting the TV during Bush's funeral procession, and that's when he became known as the kid who loves presidents. All politicians, really.
I've met Jimmy Carter, I've met Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell, Matt Bevin, Andy Beshear, and just so many more.
He's also known for his eye-catching suit.
And this is my second suit because I outgrown my other one.
Don't, I repeat, don't get into a trivia match with him. Who was the first president to appear on television?
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
That's right. What year did Alexander Hamilton become president?
He wasn't a president. Which president's dad was a blacksmith worker?
Abe Lincoln.
Herbert Hoover.
To see this bright kid today, you'd never know of the dark days in his past. A complicated birth damaged his kidneys, and he had a transplant at age 2. His dad was the donor. Then he had 2 bouts with cancer, spending 3 months in the Cincinnati Children's Hospital for chemo treatments. He's now in remission.
I just trust the Lord to help me.
And his family is delighted that he has a presidential fascination to keep him focused on the future.
I have had to give up my beach trips for presidential trips. They've been some of the best family vacations we've ever had.
Reed has other obsessions too, like a love for music.
'Cause if your eyes are on me, you're looking at country.
And Loretta Lynn. What does he want to be when he grows up? President, of course, in 2048.
I just want to get Democrats and Republicans to get together and come united as a nation.
A lot of people have already told Reed he has their support when the time comes, which is music to his ears. Until then, he'll keep biding his time and thinking like Lincoln. Of course, Reed was sad when Loretta Lynn died in October, but he keeps introducing his young friends to her songs, just like he's gotten many of them interested in studying the presidents. As 2022 was winding down, I took a trip to a small community in Henry County to get in the Christmas spirit. It left me feeling nostalgic and poetic. O little village of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. You can stand on the corner for quite a while before a single driver goes by. But one place, the post office, is busy. Each Christmas card gets an addition.
So my grandmother was the one who actually got it in here and started the tradition.
In 1947, a special postmark was unfurled. It kind of put this place on the map.
Because there's only 18 Bethlehems in the world.
The postmark shows the Magi and has become a thing of worth.
It's bringing in the fact of Christ being born, just celebrating his birth.
The special mark caught on in Kentucky and the world throughout.
It wasn't unusual back then to have close to 100,000 cards go out. Those days, unfortunately, have come and gone.
Says third-generation clerk Melinda Spear.
And the month of December is my anchor month. That's the one that keeps it here for the year.
For just 2 hours most days, this post office stays open. While others have closed, here they keep hoping that an ink pad's enough to keep the register filled. So far, so good.
I'm really thrilled.
Melinda still expects to cancel 10,000 cards or so. People still find their way here for this symbol of long ago. When the wise men went to Bethlehem, they took camels and followed a star. Now it's a whole lot easier. Route 22 by car. She's making world connections when the cards pass through her hands.
I got some from England, and I actually got some from Japan.
So many foreign lands. For Melinda, the postmark brings back memories of helping here in her childhood.
Yeah, see, if you've got the room, you can really put them on there good.
Oh, little village of Bethlehem, you give us a taste of heaven. You make your mark at Christmas time.
There we go.
From zip code 40007. Maybe I had a little bit too much fun with that one. Well, if you want to send your cards through the Bethlehem Post Office next year, look up this story on our website, fox56news.com, and you'll find instructions on how to do it. We have one more trip that starts at a small post office. Just ahead, we'll hit the road with a mail carrier who doesn't miss a click.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How would you like a job that required you to drive for 8 or 9 hours every day? For many of us, that would be boring to say the least. But one Kentucky mailman has turned his drive time into a sort of treasure hunt. Every day he delivers cards and letters and collects the spirit of the Bluegrass. When Mark Bradford leaves the tiny Barry post office each morning, he knows he's in for a day filled with give and take. He'll give out letters and packages and take a lot of pictures.
You never know what you're going to see.
He's been delivering the mail for 2 decades, most of those years on the back roads of his native Harrison County.
The route is, I think, 92 miles, and it's 515 boxes.
A few years ago, he began to lose enthusiasm for his job. You might say he was mailing it in. Then he recalled how much he enjoyed photography classes when he majored in art at Eastern Kentucky University. He addressed his boredom by snapping pictures with his iPhone, documenting things he saw on the mail route.
I take pictures of just everyday occurrences, and everybody could do that if they just, stopped and said, that's a great picture, I could take it. Just enjoy the world around you. That's what I'm doing.
After 20 years, you might think there's nothing new for Mark to see on these roads. It's quite the opposite. He knows them so well, he notices every little change. Like when a tree falls, a fence gets painted, or a cow has a calf.
There's a goat in a boat.
A few years ago, Mark started posting his pics on Instagram.
God blesses me with all his beauty, so I take pictures of it and I want to show everybody.
That led to something he never dreamed would happen. The nonprofit Boyd Station Project for photojournalism students found his site, and soon it had Mark signed, sealed, and delivered as an exhibitor at its art gallery in Cynthiana.
I've got Charlie Brown luck, so I didn't tell anybody because I didn't really know if it was going to happen or whether they pull a football out in front of me.
It happened. The exhibit, called Rural Route Collection, is getting the stamp of approval from visitors. The curators had a major job sorting through his bundles of images.
Over 6,000, I think, now.
Yes, and luckily with all the photographers and editors that we have at Boyd Station, it was a blast for them, it seemed, just to be able to pick through. It's a photographer's dream.
Mark has come to realize he is packaging a record of rural life, so when it comes to framing and composition, he'll go the extra mile.
I've taken pictures now of barns. They're not there anymore. They've fallen down. And I never thought about it when I first started, but it's kind of me documenting my route and just the changes of life, really.
Mark Bradford's first-class look at life is a lesson for all of us to stop and smell the roses, or at least take their picture. Even familiar journeys can lead to surprise destinations.
But I've had quite a few people say, well, I went down to see your show. I love it.
The Cynthiana exhibit closed in June, but that wasn't the end of Mark's time in the spotlight. Some of his photos went on to be displayed at a gallery in New York City. I've put together about 175 of these Spirit of the Bluegrass stories now, and people ask me all the time, how do you keep coming up with ideas? There's not really a shortage of ideas, just time to do them. I'm always open to suggestions, though, and if you have one, send me an email to mbartlett@fox56news.com. I'd love to hear from you. There's the address right there. Together, we'll keep searching for people, places, and things that define the spirit of the bluegrass. Thanks for watching.